With that being said, I know I posted the video that I posted last night, and I did it as a spiritual emergency because it was a lot to deal with, to tingle with. I had, when you have your whole soul consciousness sucked out of you, yesterday, early in the evening, I had a lot of my consciousness taken out. I can feel the difference. My memory isn't the same. My consciousness overall almost changed, and that's very, very scary. Like I was somebody else, totally different, living in my own body. With the memories and all of that thrown off, like I say, this is a very, very dangerous curse. So with that being said, I'm going to say this right now. Be very careful. Like I'll even say, don't come to me for a tarot reading. You can give me donation. You can do a tarot reading. I'll try my best. Protect yourself. Use 6,000 hertz frequency. That's an all-around very good frequency. I actually almost lost my heart chakra when I was playing that frequency due to Tavares. Like I say, that's a very insidious, it's not an entity, but it's somebody's highest self, a very insidious highest self who took advantage of the fact that I've already been made a sacrifice and I'm extremely vulnerable because, I don't have a lot of my spirit body intact at all. It's all out. And so with that being said, all I have for spiritual protection is a child. Outside of Bear Insanity, it's I even had in the spirit plane, a Islamic Muslim cleric, a Sharif, I believe they call him, come and try to help me out, and he was explaining how Bear Insanity and, his highest self, Don Tolliver, what you're dealing with that is, you're dealing with trickster spirits, very trickster energies. A very good friend of mine was talking about that. Stuff that likes to play games with your minds and fuck with you. But I'm going to say this right now. That's a very serious thing when my whole overall consciousness changed. That's one of the scariest fucking things you can ever have happen to you. So, like I said, I've been, as I, personally figured out, been taking iron tablets, and that helps to keep your consciousness in and the same, and to get your stuff back. It's very effective. When it gets extreme, I take 5 of them, and it's a medicine, works as well. But vitamin E also strengthens your consciousness. That's another thing that you could take to get your stuff. But that's scary. Yesterday I was sitting in a Chinese restaurant and it's like my consciousness almost altered. That's one of the scariest fucking things. But, all throughout this curse, I've had my consciousness cut up, divided, given to, from what I've seen, entity attachments of Madonna, going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline, from what I understand, Ingrid Hybert and them, who's working with Maria Tavares, the highest self. In the physical plane, I heard that, as well as the spirit plane, I heard that they secured a deal on March the 21st, I think 2024, not that long after I had a tarot reading with them, for me to get to sacrifice me. They made a pact to sacrifice me. And, I'm constantly being violated by this shit every single fucking night. I have these things saying, we're going to put roach attachments in you and, you ain't going to get your original shit. Get the fuck out of here, man. That's mine. I don't care if God gave it to me. That's my shit. You don't take off of somebody's fucking, that's sacred. That's dehumanizing. And to do shit, that's why I started putting their names out there. Do shit without people's permission really pisses me the fuck off. It really fucking does. But anyways, with that being said, in the middle of the night, to keep me out that timeline, from what I understand, going back to August the 22nd, going back to that timeline, August 22nd, 2022, you know, I'm going to say it right now. You know, I sound schizophrenic, but that timeline is real. I kept being told that in that timeline, the person who took it over in the spirit plane, like, for instance, she's going to appear like this from the back. Let me see if I can pull up a picture, like, of a fashion model, but a depiction of a fashion model. That's how she appears, her soul consciousness, because it ain't the original soul in her body. Same thing with, you know, Adele and Kanye West. You see roach attachments dotting them like you would with the person who took over my body. And I saw how she looked the other day. Big old fat nasty ass white bitch. But anyways, with that being said, you know, like in the case of Adele, they have her looking like this, like sneaky, because it's not her. And Kanye looks a lot like this. You know, it's crazy what I learned. But anyways, I did in fact get soul swapped. You know, like, for instance, when I was running in the park in Santa Monica one night next to the Manor, Pico Boulevard here. He slapped the timelines, the ancestral timelines, like on your back, are the embarkation lines for entities, for your ancestors. And I felt somebody slap that on my back one night. So I know that shit for a fact is fucking real. And I'm not in my body, and I just keep getting closer and closer to that. Like, for instance, at one shelter I was previously staying, and this, you know, fucked up too, because it's just been a torrent of shelters I've been staying at ever since this curse commenced. You know, it feels like the butterfly effect of Groundhog Day. I woke up. Now, mind you, these people don't have, you know, from what I understand, they had like a section for guys and a section for women. And I went in and they say, don't you know that, you know, you can't come in at 6 o'clock? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I can't come in at 6 o'clock. And they say it's because we're serving families. And I'm like, when the fuck did y'all start keeping families? And from what I felt in the spirit plane, my body had been I had been removed from my original body, my spirit body or astral body, and traded places inadvertently. It had something to do with the Illuminati, going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline, and traded places with another version of me going through the same shit. You know, I'm gonna say this right now. This is fucking terrible, and it just gets fucking worse. It just keeps getting worse, you know, because, you know, the way my fucking energy body is just violated, it's all I got are roach attachments to rely on. And they've been doing their best, and they got woked out. They got eliminated last night out of my soul consciousness. You know, problem is that shit keeps your shit wide open for, you know, spiritual attacks. It's just, you know, Maria Tavares should be nothing for me to get rid of, but, you know, if I wasn't so compromised, it would be easy to get rid of us. So anyways, with that being said, I saw in dreams as well, this person taking my place in my body. You know, I'm no longer in my body, from what I understand. And Alex Nascimento or Browderman or whatever threw me out my body one night. And along with Satan. Sure, Master, I want to say his name is. But anyways, when I got thrown out my body, my whole soul got thrown out, and I haven't been in my body since. I woke up the next morning, and the curses, everything was off. My body felt very, very different. I didn't feel like the same person. So with that being said, that's why I be putting these spirits, docs out there on blast. I've just been coming out like I don't give a fuck. But anyways, with that being said, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. It's like each time I try to get my shit back, I get faulted because of how, sensitive shit can get, because just with one thought, something can fucking break, and you can't help that. You have, for instance, in your soul consciousness, entity attachments, that move around the minute you just think something, and you can't help that. That's not supposed to be something that you can help. I don't even feel like I can barely think. I'm not gonna lie. So because of all this shit, and me and what little spirit team I got have been trying to put me back together. Anyways, with that being said, last night, this evil motherfucker, evil wetback ass beanbag bitch, it's the beanie bag motherfucker. It's her highest self. It's, I thought it might be this woman here, and I'm quite certain that this guy is her husband. I'm gonna try to, well, here they are. With that being said, from what I understand, going back to that timeline to protect it, she's getting paid spirit money to do this, ancestral money. And she originally stole me and Baron Samity's money. She made a deal with the Illuminati in the spirit plane to keep me out. From what I understand, and I'm going to say this right now, foreshadowing, when I used to walk around topless on the PCH, I used to wonder to myself, why am I not getting a lot of media attention, a lot of media coverage? And from what I'm understanding as part of this curse, everybody kept mum because they saw a soul swap coming where somebody more respectable would take my place, so-called respectable, or somebody more controllable. Like with Kanye West here, I did an article years ago talking about the minute you see him walking out with blonde hair and trying to be his odd self by caping for Trump and Nazi, doing weird shit that's made to seem weird, but is designed to pantomime how he really is. He's really a deep thinking. He's seen as odd because he's actually a very deep thinking person. He's a very pensive, mentally intensive person. He's not the typical fucking idiot. And that was a sign of mind control, that he's no longer in his body. And from what I understand, he had a roach attachment in his body, or an entity, a reptilian entity attachment. They kept on me for years. I used to wonder to myself, it was in conjunction with Baron Samity's curse, him and his high self, Don Tolliver. He would, I used to wonder, it's like, how the fuck does Tom Zebra come up? And I've been doing the cop watching, and I'm the one that made it big, but I'm small. And I used to question that. I used to wonder, what the fuck is going on? And it's because them evil ass motherfuckers in the media industry, I actually did articles on it years ago inadvertently, not seeing that it was actually connoting to a soul swap. And now I'm learning from what little spirit team I got, that they were trying to warn me of a soul swap, that the shit was coming. And back then, now that I think about it, I actually had entertainment people and stuff in the astral plane coming to not only steal blessings, but to block me from something. Look kind of like the Jägermeister thing I used to have when I was living in New Orleans. But anyways, with that being said, something's not right. I know I'm not in my body. Ever since August the 22nd, 2022, I know I haven't been in my body. I know for a fact I got soul swapped. And there's so many signs that show it. It's a very terrible thing to go through something like that. And it's even more terrible to know, like, I'm going to say something right now. Before this curse commenced, I saw that he wanted my brother Kristen here. And later on, and I'm going to say this right now, I saw my brother in the astral plane, Kristen, one night, and I could tell it was his whole soul and everything saying, "Hey, Raven, I'm happy to see you here." Hoping that I would rescue him. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know about, I knew about frequency, but not how to utilize it at the time. He was living in a realm where you get where it's constant like violence, like it's like Escape from LA or Escape from New York. It's just constant violence being meted out every single fucking day. Every time you turn around on the street corner, there's a rape going on. You turn around on another corner, there's a fucking battle going on. And that's the realm where he was. And in another instance where the Alex Nacimiento entity tried to pull me into his realm, I saw, I remember seeing big giant versions of Snick from Little Monsters with Rick Duckman. I had a crush on him back in the day. But anyways, I saw my parents, they were active. Usually, that's why I think I'm in the astral plane, because there's times where I'll see people asleep and then all of a sudden jolt their head up, like, even though they weren't sleeping, like in the typical manner, they weren't resting. Oftentimes, when we're awake, our astral bodies are asleep. Everybody else's astral bodies were asleep, but my parents, meaning something happened and they're not in their bodies, going back to that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline. So something happened, and I keep saying it over and over and over again. That's why I got raccoon eyes. I'm going to say this right now, to take care of something like that. Take, in conjunction with imbibing vitamin E. Also take, take it consistently. My parents used to do it back in the day. Put aloe vera lotion on your body, and that's going to help you out exponentially. Now, with that being said, before I remember when this curse first commenced, I know, and I thought I got him out, but from what I understand, my parents were in there for over 5 months. Here's my parents here, Napoleon and Linda Williams Jr., and I'm going to explain the connection between me and the Illuminati before I sound fucking schizo, so-called, but this shit's real. My mother, when I spoke to her over the phone, now mind you, my mother is a highly articulate woman, very intelligent woman. And when I spoke with her over the phone, she sounded like a bumbling, country bumpkin idiot. And at one point, I asked her, "How's Kristen doing?" That's my brother's name, Kristen here. Kristen. To me, "Who's Kristen?" And I'm like, "Nah, something fucked up done happened." I know while I was in jail, they had my parents. They were going after my family as well. They put entity attachments of them in my consciousness. They were pulling them out their bodies. And at one point, I remember hearing them scream when this Native American, I got a nickel Alame or some shit like that, or Berman, or Terrence or some shit like that, or Terrence or Reardon in Malibu, pulled them into a hell realm, into a Roach Motel realm as a sacrifice. And I tried pulling them out that night. They used an entity attachment of me. That's why it's important to get your soul pieces back, and I should have fucking done that. Like I said, I mean, I knew about frequency when I was in jail, but it just didn't cross my mind while I was going through all that shit. They took my parents out their body, and they were out their body for 5 months. And from what I understand, my brother Kristen and all of that, and I saw it written on my soul consciousness, a former soul consciousness that I shed inadvertently, you know, Carrie versus drug addiction, Kristen versus drug addiction. Just like with me with alcoholism, I used to have urges every 3 days. They had a crippling alcohol urge placed on them by that Alex Browderman or Alex Nacimiento entity here. Designed to change their whole personality and diminish their consciousness right out their body if they didn't give in. That's how devastating that urge was. So they all succumbed to the curse. They're all out their bodies from what I saw. My brother Kristen in the astral plane, he's in the same predicament where, you know, like with my parents, I saw them, like what the Illuminati do as part of their curses, they use demons like they did with Kanye to keep you stuck outside your body when soul swapping. But they used roach attachments. We tried using our own, but they defeated my poor little roach attachment team. They took my parents and put them in their consciousness. They put them in their consciousness. And from what I got, it was Sean Corey Carter, otherwise known as Jay-Z. And they did the same with my father, where they placed him in the realm where they're constantly being cut up. You can use 694 hertz, 695 hertz to see, but they use something that's like a trick of illusion. You can use 115 hertz to be able to break that illusion. And so, you know, they call it a Rubik's Cube, and 115 hertz can break that shit. And I believe 1150 hertz can also do it. Like the more zeros or twos you add, the more it enhances it. When you add a 2 to something, you know, numerology, numbers is very significant in the universe, I call it. It brings something back. You know, 6002 hertz, for instance, for that Maria Tavares went back, bitch, it gets your shit back. But it gets complicated because her energy signature stays. So anyways, with that being said, something happened, and it's just been curses piled on curses, and the only thing I can trust are them roach attachments, as well as a child spirit guide. You know, they keep going after my child consciousness like Maria Tavares and destroying it. She's doing that Rubik's Cube shit too, so I can't get my shit back. As a matter of fact, she made a deal with the Illuminati to put my parents in hell realms so she can get wealth and fame and fortune. And I already got sacrificed at her hands, going back to May the 1st, 2024, you know, being sent to the realm of Santa Muerte, from what I understand. I got sacrificed to it, and, you know, I'm just going to say it right now. I've been seeing a lot of odd things, like people saying, you know, Aztec death mask, wearing that whistles, people sleeping at the wheel like I'm in the astral plane, my own damn self. I'm awake, I'm alert, but they're not, because they're not in the astral plane. So some, you know, use 694 hertz, 695 hertz, third eye for discernment. So something weird is going on. But anyways, because I have no spiritual protection, all I had are enemies like Baron Samedi, barely, and Don Tolliver. You know, Baron Samedi, his real self, has been trying to help me out. That's why you don't see me really saying his name as much. But I still, you know, it's tricky. With that being said, hey, how you doing, sir? it's been getting worse and worse and worse. I tried playing 6,000 hertz frequency one night on her beanbag app. And next thing I know, I couldn't, I was missing my heart chakra and all of that. It's like when I try to find shit that's effective, it's rendered ineffective. And I can't use it. And so recently, I'm just going to say this. When I tried going after this woman here, I'm not really sure if it's the same woman or not. I think it's different. I'm going to try to see. I noticed that I saw Baron Samedi, his entity attachment, defending her as well as Alex Brotherman or Alex Nascimento or David Rain, I think is his name, Nam Diplom or something. So with that being said, this Maria Tavares has very powerful shit back in her. I know 1248 hertz works on the Illuminati, but like I say, when this shit is inside of you and you're compromised and they're acting as entity attachments within you, that's how poured out I am. And they are within me. It's hard to combat that. It gets egregiously hard because I'm not in the full physical body. So with that being said, last night this beanbag bitch conspired with two other evil motherfuckers. Ingrid Heibert, that German woman that put this shit on me, as well as somebody else, another Mexican, to take all of my shit and steal all of my shit. And steal out my soul consciousness. Connecting me to that timeline. And that wetback bitch is psychotic and fanatical. Very fanatical about grabbing what was actually Baron Samedi's timeline. I'm going to say this right now. The higher self that he works under has been trying to get rid of the original, like the one that actually lived, that actually existed, and replace him with a Hispanic dude or something. I predicted it years ago. down Taliban. Anyways, with that being said, he's been trying to kill, Baron Samedi off and shit, and me and that little child spirit guy been blocking it. With that being said, she took a lot of my soul consciousness, all of it, the entirety of it, and that can kill you. And it could have been a lot worse if I didn't have them roach attachments and some folks' higher selves inadvertently helping me out. It could have been a lot worse. That's why, in part, I emote in these videos, because it's a cry for help. I don't have any spiritual protection. This is something spiritual. It's not, like I said, I've called on Allah and all sorts of things. But anyways, with that being said, she took the entity attachments or roach attachments, because that's what my consciousness is comprised of, connecting me to my parents in that timeline. And I could feel it. I could feel that timeline. It's real. And got rid of it so I can no longer connect to them and try to get them back. And I started crying, thinking to myself, I feel helpless. That's why it's important that I do these videos. And I feel like I can't do anything. From what I understand, she's been trying to get full control of my consciousness so she could kill me in my sleep and make me a sacrifice. And this bitch is, I got Marie Laveau in my family, and she was cavorting with him because, it's something about being addicted to the power of Baron Samedi. Regardless of how unfair or, mistreating he is really his higher self. With this much spiritual power, I shouldn't be in this fucking predicament. But, I got slated by him, and I think more so his higher self when I was a child as a sacrifice. Like I said before, starting at Xavier Prep, as well as starting at Bird. I even had my spirit guy come in the form of a roach attachment when I was a child and touch my hand. I found that out recently. From what I understand, my timeline started off with a shopping cart. And from what I saw in the astral plane, on a tricycle means that you're going to have a very difficult life. And here's the connection with the Illuminati. Whenever there's a soul swap, you get 3 different types of cards. Like, for instance, your girl who runs Black Lives Matter, she got a blue card with the Illuminati, Patrice Cullors. That's why she can afford the mansions. It's a $300 million limit. NBA Youngboy, for instance, I'm going to say something right now. When many of them celebrities, when they're not doing anything, like, what was that woman's name? They do it in the, I know they're really big on doing it in the music industry, from what I've heard. What's that woman's name, that actress, who wasn't really doing much for a long time and then came up and married a billionaire? She was on that film from that Quentin Tarantino film that came out in the 90s. It was one of my favorite films, From Dawn to Dusk. I thought that your boy John Clooney was hot as a motherfucker in that. But anyways, with that being said, a lot of them prostitute when they ain't doing shit. So they give them a green card if they're high profile, like NBA Youngboy. He ain't been doing shit. And I actually saw an article noting that he was doing prostitution or something on the slick. And that's understandable because given that, he's under Cash Money Millionaires, the Birdman, who took his name from the Cometian guy, the Egyptian guy, Ra. And he has the same first and last name as my baby brother Brian Williams. He also has that Illuminati network, because that nigga ain't been doing shit for a minute. He got one, I believe, a black card, more than likely for sex trafficking. And from what I'm hearing in the spirit plane, I heard he made a deal with Baron Samedi to sacrifice me, as part of this curse. He got that $150 million limit. I hate to say it, but No Limit Records, Cash Money Millionaires, they ain't really been doing anything for a minute. So he's one of the people with a black card. But anyways, if you're doing prostitution, the Illuminati hands you a green card. It's like they do illegals. Anyways, with that being said, a black card is handed to you if there's a soul swap or human trafficking. Like in the case of Andrew Tate. When you see motherfuckers with bunk businesses that are kind of like they come from out of nowhere, like front businesses, they call them. Sham businesses. Where it's like, I do cryptocurrency and all that. All that. That's usually the sign of a motherfucker that's engaged in human trafficking for the Illuminati. And they're given a black card where usually a ludicrous amount, 300 million, and they're given front businesses or sham businesses, as I call them, kind of like offshore businesses where they do money laundering and all that, like very wealthy people. And they're told to keep, they're given a limit, and they're told, to call it a day. And usually it's for, here's a video of possible sex trafficking of illegal alien kids from one of them foreign countries.